It's no secret that WWE wants to own every intellectual property that is shown on their programming, including t-shirts, catchphrases, and most importantly, characters or in-ring names. However, there are a few exceptions. Today we find out which current WWE wrestlers use their real names for their on-screen characters. The alpha male of our species. Ever since the beginning of his pro wrestling career, starting in OVW to WWE and the UFC, Brock's in-ring name has always been his real name, and in case you didn't know, Lesnar also wrestled for New Japan Pro Wrestling from 2005 to 2007. And he's also a two-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion. The baddest woman on the planet. She was already a megastar before joining WWE. She was an Olympic medalist and a former UFC champion, and she's the first women's UFC fighter to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. And with all of that star power behind her name, why would you even think about changing her name? The Queen of Spades. Many of you might already know this, but for those who don't, Shayna is a former UFC fighter and a member of the Four Horsewomen of MMA, along with her real-life best friend Ronda Rousey. Shayna had wrestled for Ring of Honor and Stardom and various independent promotions prior to joining WWE under the NXT brand in 2017. The original Bro is the third UFC fighter turned pro wrestler on this list. Matt Riddle competed in the UFC from 2008 to 2013, and upon leaving MMA, he wrestled for numerous independent promotions such as PWG, Revolution Pro Wrestling, and Evolve under his real name, before joining WWE's NXT brand in July of 2018. And in October 2020, Matt Riddle's name was shortened to simply Riddle. The former Cruiserweight and Tag Team Champion wrestled for Ring of Honor and other various independent promotions before making his WWE debut at the 2016 Cruiserweight Classic Tournament. And as of today, he still wrestles under his real name on WWE programming. And he's also a former member of the Hurt Business. Another wrestler who participated in the 2016 Cruiserweight Classic Tournament, the former Cruiserweight Champion has been wrestling for WWE under his real name since his debut. And as of April 2022, GULAK also became a backstage interviewer for the Blue brand. At least he was for a while. Arguably the most underrated wrestler of the early and late 2000s, another member of the OVW class of 2002, along with Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, Batista, and John Cena. Benjamin has wrestled throughout his career under his real name, and there are only two championships in WWE that Benjamin is yet to win, that being the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship. The King of Strong Style joined WWE around the same time as AJ Styles in January of 2016. Shinsuke was the first big Japanese wrestler of the modern era to sign with WWE, being a former three-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion and the longest reigning IWGP Intercontinental Champion. Nakamura brought a lot of star power and international recognition, and WWE made full use of that name and star power by giving him huge pushes like winning the 2018 Royal Rumble match and even getting a singles win over John Cena. The voice of SmackDown recently signed a contract extension with WWE. A former NFL player, McAfee had a name outside of WWE in the sporting world as well as the podcasting world. He served as a guest commentator for NXT TakeOver events in 2018 before signing a contract with the promotion in 2019. And since April 2021, McAfee became a color commentator on Friday Night SmackDown. and occasionally wrestles on big pay-per-view events. Here's something you might have forgotten. Now that Vince McMahon is retired, technically Vince's last match was against Pat McAfee at WrestleMania 38. Before we go to number 1, here are a few honorable mentions. Akira Tozawa, Mansoor, Humberto, Randy Orton and Bianca Belair. The franchise player and WWE icon for 20 years. There's a unique reason why John Cena tops this list. It's because every other wrestler on this list owns the rights to their name, as it's their legal name. But even though John Cena is his birth name, WWE owns the rights to it. So what does that mean? If John Cena makes any profits outside of WWE, say for example in movies, commercials and whatnot, WWE gets a percentage of John Cena's pay. That's because John himself approved of that by signing a contract that allows the company to earn a small portion of his earnings outside of WWE. And there you have it. This was the list of current WWE stars who use their real names on WWE TV.